You own a home. Maybe you've owned it for 15 years, maybe 20. You've painted the walls, fixed the roof, watched the Zillow estimate climb. You know the square footage by heart. You've told your kids this is theirs one day. And every time someone asks how you're doing financially, somewhere in the back of your head you think, well, at least I have the house. That thought, right there, that's the trap. I'm the wolf, and I help people see the financial system for what it really is before it's too late. Here's something the real estate industry, your mortgage broker, and every home improvement ad on television has spent decades telling you your house is your most important asset. It sounds right. It feels right. It has the weight of something that must be true because everyone believes it. It's not true. At least, not in the way they mean it. An asset, in the real definition of the word, puts money in your pocket. It generates income. It produces cash flow. It works while you sleep. Your house does the opposite. Every single month it takes money out of your pocket. Mortgage, property taxes, insurance, maintenance, HOA fees if you're really lucky. The average American homeowner spends between $15,000 and $18,000 per year just to own the home they already bought. That's not building equity. That's the cover charge to keep the thing standing. So let me ask you something directly. If your house is taking $1,500 a month out of your wallet, is it an asset or an expense with good marketing? Sandra is 56. She lives in Phoenix, Arizona. She bought her home in 2009 for $210,000. Today, Zillow says it's worth $390,000. She feels wealthy. She tells people at dinner that her home has made her $180,000. Has it? Let's run the actual numbers, because nobody does this. And that's exactly what the system is counting on. Sandra's mortgage over 30 years at 4.5%, total payments of approximately $381,000 on a $210,000 loan. Interest paid alone, roughly $171,000. Property taxes over 20 years at an average of $3,200 per year, $64,000. Homeowners insurance over 20 years at $1,800 per year, $36,000. Maintenance and repairs. The industry standard is 1% of home value per year, often more on older homes, roughly $50,000 over 20 years. 2 major renovations Sandra did because she wanted to, kitchen and bathroom, $34,000 total spent to own that house, north of $355,000, on a home she bought for $210,000. Her paper gain, $180,000. Her actual out-of-pocket cost, $355,000. Sandra didn't make $180,000 an annum. Sandra spent $175,000 more than she made. And the house is still standing there, still hungry, still sending her a property tax bill every year. But wait, the wolf says her house is worth $390,000. Can't she sell it? Yes. And then she needs somewhere to live, in Phoenix, where the median home price is now $415,000. So she sells her $390,000 house, pays 5 to 6% in realtor fees, roughly $21,000 on Downstreet Main, and then buys into the same market she just sold out of. That's not wealth. That's a very expensive game of musical chairs. Now here's where it gets darker. Because Sandra's situation is actually better than most. According to the Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finances, and the median American homeowner between 55 and 64 has roughly $185,000 in home equity, but less than $90,000 in financial assets outside the home. Their entire net worth is locked inside 4 walls they have to keep paying for. They're asset-rich and cash flow poor, which is another way of saying they look wealthy on paper and feel broke every Monday morning. And here's the question nobody asks at the dinner table. What good is equity you can't use without giving up the roof over your head? Okay, but Wolf, what about appreciation? My neighbor bought in 2019 and his house is up 40%. Isn't that real wealth? Fair question. Let's look at the actual data. According to the S&P CoreLogic Case-Shiller Index, U.S. home prices have appreciated at an average of about 4.3% per year over the long term. And sounds solid until you account for inflation, which has averaged around 3.4% over the same period. Real inflation-adjusted appreciation on the average American home, roughly 0.9% per year. 0.9%. Meanwhile, the S&P 500 has returned an average of 10.7% per year nominally, about 7.5% after inflation, over the same long-term period according to Vanguard's historical data. The math is not subtle. The house that feels like your best investment is historically one of your worst performing ones. The stock market has outperformed residential real estate by nearly 7 percentage points per year, every year, for decades. But nobody puts a Zillow estimate on their index fund portfolio and shows it at dinner parties. So the illusion holds. Here's the mechanism that keeps the trap locked. The mortgage is designed to be long. 30 years is not a coincidence. It's a calculation. At 30 years, you pay so much in interest that the bank essentially gets a second house out of the deal. On a $300,000 mortgage at 6.5%, your total payments over 30 years exceed $680,000. You borrowed $300,000, you paid back $680,000. The bank made more money on your house than you did. And then there's the psychological lock. Your identity gets attached to the home, the neighborhood, the school district, the idea of what it means to own. Selling feels like failure. Downsizing feels like giving up. So you stay. You keep paying. You keep maintaining, and the house keeps feeding, quietly, consistently on a schedule. The sheep thinks home equity is wealth. The wolf knows equity is just a number until it becomes cash flow. And a house you live in almost never becomes cash flow. So what does the wolf actually do? The wolf separates shelter from investment. Those are two different problems that the American real estate industry spent billions of dollars convincing you are the same problem. So Degort, because it's more profitable that way. Shelter is a necessity. You need somewhere to live. That's real. That's non-negotiable. Investment is money that generates more money without you having to sell your home to access it. The wolf might own a home, but the wolf doesn't confuse it for a portfolio. The wolf builds real assets alongside the mortgage, index funds, dividend stocks, income-producing property that someone else lives in and pays rent on. Assets that send money in, not out. Here's what that looks like in real numbers. Like if Sandra had taken the $34,000 she spent on kitchen and bathroom renovations and invested it in a total market index fund instead, at 10.7% average annual return, in 10 years that $34,000 becomes roughly $94,000. The renovated kitchen added maybe $15,000 to her Zillow estimate. The index fund added $60,000 more than that, without a single contractor showing up. 3 moves. Right now. First, run your actual numbers, not Zillow, minus what you paid, every dollar you've spent on that house since you bought it. Mortgage interest, taxes, insurance, repairs, renovations. Subtract that from your current estimated value, then subtract 6% for selling costs. What's left is your real gain. Most people have never done this. Do it this weekend. Second, stop treating home equity like a savings account. The moment you pull equity out through a HELOC or cash out refinance to pay for lifestyle expenses, when vacations, cars, debt consolidation, you've turned your house into a credit card with your family's shelter as collateral. The wolf never does this. Equity stays locked unless it's being used to acquire a real income-producing asset. Third, build financial assets outside the house. Every dollar of net worth that lives only inside your home is a dollar that can't generate cash flow, can't be rebalanced, and can't be accessed without either selling or borrowing. Start moving the needle. Even $300 a month into a low-cost index fund begins building the kind of wealth that doesn't need a roof inspection to maintain its value. Here's what I want you to take out of this video. Your home is not your enemy. Living in it, raising a family in it, is building memories in it. That's real. That matters. Nobody is telling you to sell your house and live in a spreadsheet, but the story you were sold, that the house is the investment, that the equity is the retirement plan, that ownership alone equals wealth. That story was written by people who make money when you believe it. Mortgage brokers, real estate agents, home improvement retailers, they all profit when you see 4 walls as a financial strategy. The wolf sees it differently. The house is shelter, the portfolio is wealth. And confusing the two is one of the most expensive mistakes a person over 50 can make, because at this stage, time is the one thing you can't refinance. Drop foundation in the comments if this cracked something open. That's how we find each other.